Hello, and welcome to round 2 of the Parenting Roundabout podcast for the week of March 7th. I'm Terri Morrow, and I'm here with Catherine Haleko.
Hello.
Usually on this podcast, we talk about parenting issues, but once a week, Catherine and I like to get together to discuss TV, movies, books, and other entertainment topics, because it's nice to talk about something other than parenting for a change. This week, we continued with our 2 very different series, As We See It and The Gilded Age. As We See It, Season 1, Episode 5, Ever Had an Edible. Cutesy name, cutesy title. Very relieved that it was Jack's dad saying that and not Julian to Violet, although things were just bad enough there anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But really, the title of this should have been Family Bleeps.
Mm-hmm.
Oh! Or Let's Push Terry's Buttons. That could have been a good title for it also. Oh my goodness. It was just wanted to. If you are in an episode of television in which 3 people do terrible things to people with disabilities, and the one who is the least terrible is Julian, the French fry guy, taking advantage of Violet, who he totally knows is not quote unquote normal.
Mm-hmm.
If Julian is the best behaved, ladies, you need to look at your life.
Right.
I'm just saying. Harrison's mom, Jack's aunt, you are worse than that guy.
You are worse than the French fry guy.
Oh my goodness. Terrible, terrible, terrible. Yeah. And we had, again, as we talked about with the people who are loudly horrible to people with disabilities, and then the people who are sweetly horrible to them, like it takes you a while to realize that they are monsters. We had an example of each of those in this episode. Jack and his dad went to visit Jack's Aunt Deb, who I guess is his dad's sister, although estranged.
Right.
Estranged because she was terrible to Jack when he was a little kid.
Right.
And, pulled her children away from associating with him. And, at a time when his dad thinks he needed his cousins. And, you hear that and then you say, oh, Jack's dad, please don't be asking her to have any responsibility for Jack when you die for cancer. But then, of course, he does, because probably he doesn't have anybody else.
Right.
And she does not even sugarcoat it. It's, it's basically hell no is her answer.
Mm-hmm.
And it just goes on from there into horribleness. And Jack overhears,
right.
And is, less fazed by it, I think, than his dad and I were. But, and I have had that cousin thing in my own extended family.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, did that. It's not so much, as Jack says later, I didn't like my cousins either. That's not the case in my family, is that my child very much loves the cousins, but it's not the kids, because kids are kids. If your kid thinks my kid is weird and doesn't want to associate with them, I can see you sympathizing with that. The thing is the betrayal of the adult, because what the adult needs to do there is explain things and improve your children's behavior towards their cousin. It is not to say, oh, you poor thing, you shouldn't have to deal with that person. Right. Let me protect you. That is the betrayal. He's been betrayed by his sister, as I feel like I've been betrayed by a family member. Mm-hmm. And gosh, that hurts. And it's infuriating. And there's nothing you can do about it. And really, you wouldn't want your kid to be with somebody who would think that way.
Right.
But at the same time, if you're family, you feel like, what is the matter with you? We're family. Why won't you step up for this?
You're right.
And then, speaking of families, Mandy and Harrison went to visit Harrison's family in their extremely nice home, where Harrison's bedroom is still there with all the Beanie Babies. He's just got the biggest smile on his face the whole time. He sees his sister.
He's showing Mandy all around.
He's showing Mandy all around his house, and they play Monopoly just like they always did. And everything is just groovy, except for the fact that, we haven't seen these parents yet. They don't seem to be very involved in Harrison's life outside of their home. And so there's got to be something wrong. And oh my goodness, There certainly is.
Oh.
They mentioned to Mandy, hey, Mandy, how about you just do this full time now? How about we throw a whole bunch of money your way to make you take care of Harrison? It'll be fine. We're going to move to Montana. And we really don't want to bring him with. And we really feel like we deserve this time of our life doing our own thing. Aren't we great?
Because the daughter, Harrison's sister, is going to college, and she is very, very sweet to him. But, she's off to college.
Yes.
So
I wonder if she knows what her parents have planned.
I think
if
so.
She does, and she's not just kicking them in the butt every
right.
second. She's not that nice. Yeah, but yes,
you
don't want her to be Van, which we'll get to. She's very lucky that her parents can afford to pay somebody else to be Van.
Right.
And she can just go la-di-da and have her nice apartment by the zoo and do her own thing. And who could begrudge her? But later, the mom goes to Mandy and says, gee, I feel when we said that thing, you were judging us, which she should be judging you.
Yeah.
I am judging you. Don't try to you should be judging you. And I know you are.
Right.
Don't pin that on other people. And she gives this big speech about how hard it was to take care of Harrison. And he's so hard to say no to because he's a big, lovable guy who you should want to be with.
Right.
And she's placing all this stuff on Mandy, like, you're so good with him. You do so well for him, and it's not Mandy's job to love Harrison.
Mm-hmm.
She is an employee. She is not his sister or his mother or his aunt. She is a very sweet young woman who honestly is a little bit confused, and you are taking advantage of that.
Mm-hmm.
It is not her job to love him. It is your job to love him. Do not outsource that.
Right.
You bleepity bleep, bleep, bleep. I cursed a lot when I was watching this. I took notes, and most of them I cannot read on a podcast.
Right.
And it's just, and unfortunately, Mandy is in a place in her life where she is buying in this. You are damaging two people for your own, honestly, yes, selfishness.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm speaking as a parent of a kid with disabilities who has two young adults living in the house with me. I'm not moving to Montana anytime soon. Or if I did, I'd bring them with me. You know what, lady? I bet you could pay somebody to keep in an apartment there too.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't interfere with your golf game and, your bridge and whatever else you want to do.
Whatever it is you're doing there.
You don't, oh my gosh, you don't take away this kid's house, which is obviously so important for him. Take away any relation to you. Take away any relation to his sister. And assume it's okay because Mandy's there. Mandy will take care of it. Mandy's really good with him. It's not her job.
Yeah.
It is so wrong. It is 175% wrong. And part of the reason why we know it's wrong is because Mandy is out there being Harrison's personal aide. Well, she should also be keeping an eye on Violet, because if she had been in the apartment or callable, she would have stopped Violet from doing the terrible thing that Violet did, which was going out at the club with her so-called friends from Arby's, who pretty much immediately abandoned her.
Right.
And then having Julian come over there and take her into his car. And I'm sure we'll get all the repercussions of that next week. But I'm going to blame that on Harrison's mother too.
Mm-hmm.
Because Mandy is not your personal slave.
Right.
Why didn't the sister with the nice new car go and pick him the heck up and drive him home?
Right.
This is just all kinds of messed up. I mean, my kids always had aides in school, and they would say, oh, I just love him. I just love her. But I didn't expect them to be his mother. I didn't expect them. It's what you say to be nice. And Mandy may really feel it. Obviously, she's feeding into Mandy's feelings that, oh my goodness, if I go off and have a life of my own, if Mandy decides to go to Montana, these people will fall apart.
Right.
There should be multiple caretakers in that apartment, different shifts. They should make sure that there's coverage for every roommate, any possible need.
Right.
I am so furious at that mom. And yes, I judge her. I judge her very harshly. I heap shame upon her. And I say again, Julian, the French fry guy, is better than you, lady. So.
And to be clear, we're fine with people who deliver French fries. We like French fries.
That's right.
It's the way he is taking advantage of.
It's this
Violet.
particular smarmy French fry guy. I'm sure there are particularly delightful French fry guys who would not take advantage of people.
Right.
But yes.
Yeah.
Wow. I just,
and it doesn't seem like they certainly haven't told Harrison this.
No,
that this is happening. Like, are they just going to go and then?
I think that's what they will do.
Oh no, we can't visit your house right now.
They don't want to have any negative feelings. They don't want to have any bad feelings. They want everything to be happy.
Right.
And even if Mandy rightfully judges them, they don't want that. They want to talk her out of that negative feeling because everything's nice. So they will move, and Mandy will be the one to tell Harrison and deal with all the crud. Man, I hope they're paying her really, really well. I hope she's getting herself a nice retirement account set up. I hope she's making some smart investments. It's just wrong. It's wrong for Harrison. It's wrong for Mandy. And that lady knows it, and she doesn't care. So I am happy, though, that that Jack and his dad had a nice evening watching turtles. Getting high off an edible. That's right. Good for them. You know what? Have fun while you can, because it doesn't look like Joe Mantegna is going to be on the show for season 2.
Yeah. I mean, they're making out like it's from the chemo, like that's why he's sick. Yeah. But as Jack has pointed out, I believe that his cancer has like a 30% survival rate or something. Yeah. So
yes. And I enjoy that he told his dad that he had kissed the
nurse. Yeah.
The nurse. And his dad was sort of like, oh, okay. Not freaking out. Oh, poor Van. Oh my, he's going to feel just so bad now that he didn't take her calls, with whatever repercussions come from her night of clubbing.
Right.
And he's going to be mad at Mandy, as he rightly should be, because unlike what Harrison's mother thinks, she is an employee and not a family member. And therefore, she should have been there. She should have answered the phone call. Why can't she answer the phone calls when she's off with one of them?
Right.
Does her phone not work in whatever posh suburb the Harrison's family lives in?
Yeah, good question.
They don't have Wi-Fi. They have everything but not Wi-Fi.
Right.
Sadly. Or not. Maybe it's a different phone system in there. There's no coverage for her normal person phone.
Right.
Oh man. Sorry for all the ranting. I just was so, a lot of it rang so true. And a lot of it just, stop it.
Yeah.
I judge.
Mm-hmm.
I do judge. I'm mom shaming. I shame that mom.
Well, I think we can all agree that she deserves it.
She does. Also amusing that this was a Keith Mars ill-fated girlfriend reunion here with Laura San Giacomo playing Deb and Paula Marshall playing Harrison's mom.
Right.
Look what happened after Keith rejected them. This is what they went and did. Also, just for a point of fact, Sosie Bacon, who plays Mandy, not 24. Going to be 30 next week. Happy birthday, Sosie. You're doing great. Love you on the show. Don't know why they have to keep telling what people's ages are.
Right.
But, okay.
I think
24 seems young for Mandy, doesn't it?
It does seem young.
I don't know if I would entrust my loved ones to a 24-year-old.
Yes. And also, I thought that in that scene where she and Harrison were in the car and they're talking about his AJ and how, it's sad that he can't, be friends with AJ or whatever. And she's talking to him about having other friends that he has stuff in common with and that are close to his age. And then he puts together, well, Mandy and I have stuff in common and Mandy and I are the same age. And I am waiting for that to become like a thing.
Well, yes. And Harrison's mom is like putting more coal on that fire. See, you will love him. You will be his friend. You will take care of him. This is your responsibility now. Don't think you could have a life. she needs to like, is it too late to go up to Berkeley there, Mandy?
Yeah, take
It's
that,
just,
lady.
yeah,
And what happens?
it's terrible to her, a terrible thing to do to her son, and a terrible thing to do to this young woman who has been nothing but lovely to your kid. And you are manipulating her, and you are a bad person, and you should be ashamed, although you do have a very nice house. And I'm sure you'll have another very nice house in Montana. So just the thought of the episode where Harrison finds this out.
Yeah.
Breaks my heart.
Oh, gosh. Ouch.
Yeah. It's just so cruel.
Mm-hmm.
And the people who are cruel while acting like they're being good really make me mad. I would much rather have it be straightforward, like Deb saying, I don't like your kid. He's weird and I don't want to have anything to do with them. That at least you know where those people stand.
Right.
Out, taking a long walk off a short pier, I hope, but you know where they are.
Yeah.
Okay. So, anything I haven't ranted about in this episode that needs to be ranted about? Oh, poor Van with losing another girlfriend.
Yes.
Violet. I think I judge Selena in this one.
Mm-hmm.
She's not, I mean, she's in the on the list of people being horrible. She is better than the French fry guy.
Right.
So I'll give her that because she just doesn't understand.
Right.
She really, really does not. Yeah. Julian, I think, understands and is taking advantage. Mm-hmm. Selena doesn't get it.
Right.
But she should. She's not a stupid woman. She was warned ahead of time. And she is,
Yeah.
I blame her.
Yeah.
And I feel
tried to tell her.
Who is just never gonna. He also needs a life. Maybe he could just say to Mandy, "Hey, could you just love my sister for me? I got some other things to do. I'm going to Montana.
Selena and I are going to move to Montana. Exactly.
That's right. You'll be here to love everybody, right? Mm-hmm. You got enough love. You're a loving girl. It'll be fine.
Yeah, no
You
problem.
Didn't really want a life of your own, did you? No. Here, have mine. Golly.
Mm-hmm.
I would say this is not an accurate portrayal of the way these sort of supported living situations are.
Mm-hmm.
But that wouldn't have been interesting TV.
I guess not.
Deep breaths.
But what is interesting TV? New York in the 1880s.
Yeah, you know what? This was an episode where the people were way more well-behaved on the Gilded Age than on As We See It. Mm-hmm. I felt less rage, much less rage, even with the maid finally making her move on George Russell.
Mm-hmm. Which we knew was coming, and we can all applaud.
He should have known was coming, and if he didn't know it was coming, then he's losing a step. But
right.
Yeah, I did not like the way that was resolved, though. Hello, it's HBO. There she is in bed.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, geez, I don't think we've had any boobs on this HBO series yet. Oh,
there they are.
So most of the other ladies said, nope, I have 5 layers of clothing on right now. I'm not going to take anything. If it takes half an hour to get me dressed in this thing.
Right.
Yeah. So, I think that he did not show the same viciousness to her that he did with his business affiliates. And I wish he had.
Yeah, I mean, him not
her the same way he squashed Mr. Morris and made her,
not firing her on the spot was just like, what are you doing? Come on.
I know now what you want. And my wife trusts you. So I think the best thing to do is just keep you working for her, where you can tell her anything you want. And I know now that you are going to be vicious. But my only hope is that I really would not like to see Bertha feel like a victim of this. I really would like to see, if George is not going to squash this dame like a bug, I want to see Bertha do it. So hopefully she will have the wherewithal, if this maid ever plays her cards, to cut her down. And maybe they have a good enough marriage that you would trust him. I don't know. But I think you do not keep that person in your employ.
No.
Unless you think that maybe you will be happy to find her boobs in your bed someday, and you want to just keep that as a possibility.
Yeah.
Oy.
Well, and I thought it was strange that Bertha fired the governess who's in charge of Gladys, and it was because she let Gladys she took her to some hotel to meet some guy. Yes. And, that was a big, huge no-no. But why didn't we see that?
We did. We saw she talked about, they were walking on the street, she and her governess, and she was talking about going to meet this guy. Yeah, but later on at dinner that night, she mentioned that guy to her mother saying, can't we have him over for dinner?
Right. But we didn't see them actually meet.
Yeah, probably because it would have been, I don't know.
Boring.
I guess Gladys isn't top line character enough for us actually to see the meeting. Guess. It's mostly just how she is a tool of her mother.
Right.
Or at the mercy of her mother.
Yeah. So yes, goodbye to the governess. But of course, nice. Bertha's like, I'll just get another one. I'm not.
Yes, right. Yeah. That is not going to go well eventually. But at least Ada got her dog back. Mm-hmm. And the
butler got a tour
of the Van Ryn house got to see the Russell house and make some constructive comments
about how the table was laid and whether or not one should have soup for lunch.
I, for one, am in favor of soup for lunch. Chef, please come to my house anytime, even though you are long dead, but still.
I had like soup today.
But interesting that I guess it in the end, it's different styles of setting a table, not that one is necessarily incorrect. Like they just threw the stuff on the table without knowing what they were doing.
Right.
But that there's a British style and a European style, or continental style, or
there's the old money way and the new money way.
Exactly. Well, that's what it winds up being. Mm-hmm. So that was interesting. I mean, I think that I read a review that mentioned that scene, and they also mentioned it on Pop Culture Happy Hour, I think, that that the Van Ryn butler wasn't necessarily being snooty or nasty about it, or like, I know so much more than you, idiots. Right? But just,
just like
he presented the information in the kindest way possible.
Right.
Like, well, it's perfectly valid, and it's just a matter of taste, and this is interesting to see a different way of doing it, not the way we do it in the old money way.
Right.
So allowed the guy to save other guy to save a little face, but and let's see, we got much more of the forbidden Mrs. Chamberlain.
Yes.
Marion is just putting her foot in all sorts of places it should not be.
She really is.
She's playing with fire, that girl. Mm-hmm. If her aunt ever finds out, she will be most displeased.
Yes, that she actually went into the house and
to the
lady
chatted
herself.
To the lady. She was talking with her lawyer guy in the opera box where everybody could see. She was going to Peggy's house. She was just putting her foot everywhere.
Yeah.
And, without a great deal of forethought in any.
Yeah. And it's
at any point along the way, she just seemed particularly ditzy this week.
Yeah. And are we supposed to think she's just kind of dumb, or or naive, or because, in some ways she's, very like mannered and seems to know how society works. And then she just goes and, like she knew, I can't keep this gift that Mrs. Chamberlain gave her. But instead of just sending it back with a footman or whatever, she goes to the house. And of course she's told, just leave it at the door. And she doesn't.
No.
I don't know. She's kind of annoying.
Yeah. I just do not know what to think of that character, because sometimes she's very sympathetic and she's supposed to be like our entryway into this weird world.
Right.
And sometimes you just want to smack her upside the head and say, what is wrong with you?
Right.
And this whole question of the unsuitable suitor, I join in with Peggy in saying, if it wasn't for your aunts, would you want to marry him?
Right.
If not, send him away. It's like, is she going to marry him to spite her aunts, even though she doesn't really care for him? That's not, or if she's going to go along with her aunt, I don't know. It's just like, if you would want for her to be able to say, forget convention, forget what my aunts want. I love him and I'm going to marry him. But it's not clear that she really likes him at all.
Right.
She's flattered and she likes the idea of doing something naughty, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
But, there's the whole question of, if you marry outside your class, can you be happy? And I think you probably can, but you have to be marrying for a reason other than that he's outside my class.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
It would be good if you actually wanted to marry him for reasons other than that. And also, it's like, she doesn't seem to really care for him.
And she needs to make up her mind also. Like, yes. As the episode was titled Long Ladder, because he said, my lady was at a high window, so I needed a long ladder. Like, get him off the ladder, tell him how you make up your mind and then tell him, so he's not just hanging out there on top of the ladder.
Yes. The longer she strings him along, the less sympathetic she becomes.
Right.
So either, decide that you're going to be okay with the loss of status and go for it, or tell him, hey, look, my aunts wouldn't like this. And honestly, I'm just not that into you. But that's not going to happen because that's not good TV. So.
No, of course not.
But I feel like of all the characters, the characterization of Marion is the shakiest because she seems to be a tool of whatever they want to do in any particular scene.
Right.
And sort of cruel of them to make her go humiliate herself with Peggy's family. That was entirely unnecessary, I think.
Yes.
So she's an idiot, basically. She's
thoughtless.
She is a product of her bubble, whether she thinks she is or not.
Mm-hmm.
So I wish that we had a different point of view character. Gladys would be a good point of view character.
Or Peggy. I'm good with Peggy.
Definitely Peggy too.
And she did make some progress this week in terms of her writing. She met the publisher of a Black newspaper, I guess it was. And they want her work, and they want her to write 200 words. About having a political opinion when she doesn't have the right to vote. Like 200 words? That's
we are not in a time like our own in which people can easily go on for 200 pages on that.
Yeah.
Oh, but in a blog post. So yeah, well, good for her. I was happy about that. And we'll see how that goes. I was sort of thinking maybe her dad had put in a word for her there and that she was going to find that out and then she wasn't going to want it. But he just doesn't want her to have anything to do with writing anyway. He wants her to run the drugstore.
Yes, he wants her to come run his drugstore.
Do we still know exactly why they had a falling out? It sounds like something happened.
Yeah, I don't think that they have clarified that yet.
They did not reveal that in the 30 seconds I fast forwarded just to avoid seeing Marion humiliate herself.
No, that wasn't covered at that time.
Didn't think I would miss anything important other than just, girl,
Marion,
really?
Please. Yeah.
Just what is wrong with you, honestly?
Yeah.
I am very happy that the Frains have come to a rapprochement with the Russells. I thought Mr. Frain conducted himself very well in his little curbside chat with George Russell.
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, we made a wager, we lost, and you can't cry about it, although, of course, he could, and he probably did.
Right.
Still, he took it like a man, I guess we would say, were we sexist.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, something that would be appealing to Russell. So
he took it like a man, and then he told his wife that she had to fix it, basically.
Yes. Right. the upshot of all of this is, however, that I no longer have to hate Kelly O'Hara's character, and that makes me very happy. I like Kelly O'Hara. I felt bad when she was one of those mean girls.
Right.
So now, for whatever reason, she is going to at least act nicer. And good for her. She does not want to wind up like Mrs. Morris. So the unfortunate Mrs. Morris. But yeah, that'll be interesting to see where that goes.
Right.
And she seems to be doing it without a whole ton of resentment. So,
right.
As though she sees what must be done. And that's what we do.
Yeah.
So interesting. We will see how that Mrs. Astor has a associate who can be bought. So that's helpful.
Yes. And you know who plays him?
Who?
Nathan Lane.
Oh, yay. Perfect.
You know, he had to turn up in this, New York based production.
Yes, definitely. So, all right. Well, that explains so much about that character just by that casting.
Right.
So that will be delightful. And maybe the maid could just fall out a window or something, a tragic accident. Well, we'll see who's a better card player, her or Bertha. And I'm going to put my money on Bertha.
And we did also have the 15-second scene of Michael Cerveris's character hiding behind a tree and spying on someone. And that is what he does during his walks that the housekeeper is so concerned about. A
very slowly evolving storyline. Like, you remember when he took a walk in episode 1? He's taking another walk. Maybe this will be like a cliffhanger for season 2.
Right.
But however, we did get a bit of the mystery of the Irish maid solved. And okay, I guess it seems like that's a story told often, and I feel very bad for her.
Right.
And clearly this is why she's a little skittish about getting in a romance. But there's a lot of characters in this thing.
Yes.
There's a lot of storylines in this thing.
Yes, this is true.
Not sure we needed that one. I'm pretty sure we all knew that sort of thing was going on at that time, as well as in ours and every time in between.
Right.
So, but
at least she does have the nice cook to confide in.
I do like that cook very much, even though she
has a gambling problem.
She's a bad gambler, but she's a kind person. So, and, which is why people go to help her. This one was an hour, this episode, I think.
It was over an hour.
They're getting longer and longer and longer. People edit.
Yeah.
And also, may I ask, please, as somebody who often watches your show on a computer screen that is not super clean, in a room with a little too much light, scenes that are completely in darkness, if there is something to differentiate in them, I cannot do so. Right. So maybe we skip those, or maybe we put little captions on the bottom. George is walking to his room. He is in his bed. Or something. I don't know what precipitated him going, what the hell are you doing here? So,
she got
what the heck are you doing here?
Yeah. I think it was meant to be unclear to the viewer as well,
as it was to him.
Was getting naked in his room, but obviously we knew who it was.
Right.
We have seen television before, so we knew that the darkness what was going on.
Yes, there was a super dark scene there, and there was a super dark scene as the cook was going down to talk to the maid. And it's like, am I supposed to be seeing anything? This seems like a long time for the screen to be black, but just please, people are watching this on computer screens. Have mercy. Yes. Will you please? I know I need to clean my screen. Honest, but I can't see it. Anyway, so next week, hopefully as we see it, episode 6 will be a little less traumatic for me, but clearly there's going to be some repercussions from Violet's night out. And also the episode is called Fear is My Bitch. So that doesn't sound real promising.
Right. Yeah.
And we'll watch the Gilded Age episode 5, which is called Charity Has Two Functions. I think Fear is My Bitch could be a good episode title for that show too. They should put that in their back pocket. I think there were several storylines that could probably go for that.
Yep.
And that is going to be it for our round 2 today. Please subscribe to our Parenting Roundabout podcast so you won't miss any of our episodes. We have something new for you every weekday. As always, you can find recaps, links, and an opportunity to comment on our website at parentingroundabout.com. Goodbye, Catherine.
Bye, Terri.
Goodbye, everybody.